Flipside was raised in the Nickerson Gardens housing project of Watts, Los Angeles, an area known for its ties to the bounty hunter Bloods. Growing up in a volatile environment, he became deeply involved in street life, which led to frequent run-ins with the law and time spent in jail throughout his teenage years. While incarcerated, Flipside began to take rapping seriously, using the time to develop his skills. Life after prison. Upon his release, he reconnected with close friends, and together they began collaborating musically. This collaboration eventually led to the formation of their rap group, OFTB, an acronym for Operation from the Bottom. The group consisted of Flipside, Bus Stop, and Low MB, all of whom had strong affiliations with the bounty hunter Bloods, a connection often reflected in their music videos. OFTB quickly began to build a local buzz in Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. Their growing popularity led them to travel to other cities and states to expand their fan base. Eventually, the group signed with Big Beat Records and released their debut album, Straight Up Watts, in 1992. The lead single, Slangin' Dope, helped them gain further attention in the LA scene. Their rising fame caught the attention of Suge Knight, who signed OFTB to Death Row Records, one of the most influential labels at the time. OFTB featured on the platinum-selling soundtrack for the 1994 film Above the Rim with their song Crack M. They also contributed music to the 1994 film Murder Was a Case and maintained a working relationship with Tupac Shakur, appearing on tracks and soundtracks tied to his films like Gridlocked and Gang Related. Despite these opportunities, OFTB never achieved the mainstream success many expected. The downfall of Death Row Records during the mid-90s greatly impacted the group. The label began to unravel after Tupac's murder, Dr. Dre's departure, and Suge Knight's imprisonment. OFTB, like many other artists signed to the label, was left in limbo, facing internal chaos and lack of direction. The group eventually stepped away from the industry. Flipside shifted focus to fatherhood and mentoring local youth, including emerging rapper J-Rock. After several years of silence, OFTB regrouped and began releasing music again. They dropped Unearthed in 2007, The Missing DR Files in 2009, Down Near Dead in 2011, and Hostile Environment in 2013. Flipside remained active in supporting young artists and creating his own music, but tragedy struck in 2013. Beef with Grapes. Kevin, Marvin, and Chris were members of the Grape Street Crips and longtime residents of the Jordan Downs housing projects. The Grape Street Crips have been locked in a violent feud with both the Bounty Hunter Bloods and the P.J. Watts Crips. Despite past peace efforts, by 2013, the war was fully reignited. On August 4th, 2013, Marvin was shot in the arm while returning to his home in Jordan Downs. He refused to cooperate with police about the identity of the shooter. On September 23, 2013, around 2:30 p.m., Marvin was sitting outside his girlfriend's apartment when a car pulled up and its occupants opened fire. He sustained a grazed wound to the head. After receiving treatment at the hospital, Marvin removed his medical monitoring equipment and returned home, telling a neighbor, "I'm going to get those dudes." That same evening, at approximately 7:25 p.m., Flipside was outside his home in Nickerson Gardens when a Chevy Tahoe pulled up to the curb. As Flipside approached the vehicle, he suddenly turned and ran back toward his yard. Two men exited the Tahoe and opened fire, shooting Flipside multiple times and killing him. A neighbor who witnessed the attack was also shot in the leg after calling out his name. Several other witnesses observed the shooting. One of the victims, Maris, also known by the nickname Chicken, was a member of the P.J. Watts Crips. On the evening of September 23rd, Maris was visiting his girlfriend at her apartment in the Imperial Courts housing project. Around 7:35 p.m., just 10 minutes after Flipside was killed, Maris stepped outside and a series of gunshots rang out. Maris's girlfriend looked out her window and saw three men fleeing the scene and getting into a van. She reported hearing one of them yell, "This is Grape Street." Rushing outside, she found Maris on the ground. He had been shot 6 times, including a fatal wound to the head. The Jordan Downs, Nickerson Gardens, and Imperial Courts housing projects are all monitored by police surveillance systems, including video cameras and license plate recognition, LPR, technology. On the day of the shootings, September 23rd, police reviewed footage from the surveillance systems. The Jordan Downs incident. At approximately 4:40 p.m., cameras at Jordan Downs captured a van entering the parking lot, followed shortly by another car. Chris was seen exiting the second vehicle and meeting up with individuals in the van, including Kevin and an unidentified man. Between 7:14 and 7:16 p.m., the van, now carrying members of the Grape Street Crips, was spotted driving through the Nickerson Gardens projects. At that point, the van's license plate had been removed and only one of its rear lights was functioning. Surveillance lost track of the van around 7:25 p.m., the approximate time of Flipside's murder. Shortly after, the van was seen speeding out of Nickerson Gardens. At 7:35 p.m., both the van and the car were recorded arriving at Imperial Courts. The van stopped in front of Maris's location. One man exited the vehicle with a gun in his left hand and opened fire. Two more men followed, shooting at Maris as he lay on the ground. The three assailants then got back into the van and fled. Earlier that evening, at around 6:54 p.m., Marvin's phone sent a text to Kevin that read, "Come out." Both Marvin's and Chris's phones were tracked using cell tower data that placed them near the location of Maris's murder at the time it occurred. A photo discovered on Marvin's phone depicted a firearm that matched one of the weapons later found in the van. Marvin's fingerprints were also lifted from the sliding rear passenger window of the van. In May 2015, police executed a search warrant at a known Grape Street Crips hangout. During the search, they recovered a firearm that was linked to the shootings of both Flipside and Maris, with mounting evidence, including cell phone records, video surveillance, photographic evidence, and forensic fingerprints. Kevin, Chris, and Marvin were arrested and charged with both murders. All three men were ultimately convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Flipside's funeral was held in Watts and drew over 700 attendees. The service was attended by fellow rappers, community members, and supporters who came to pay their respects. Flipside was 44 years old. Plus,